Upstairs at Froelich's, show 306, reel 1.
I got really pissed off when I saw Us. Can I tell you? I got really pissed off.
You and me both. But we will talk about that when we get to it, because we got to do this in sequence, unfortunately.
Yeah. Jordan Peele. Keanu. Keanu was a great movie.
Yes, it was. That movie had no right being good.
It had no right, but when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh shit, I got to see this." But
I know it looks so stupid, but god damn it, I wanted to see it.
But I mean that was when Jordan Peele was a comedian. I mean, he was a comedian, and he had Keegan-Michael Key to kind of keep him in check.
Yeah.
Because when you work on a team, but then when you split off and say, "Wait a minute, I'm a serious artist. I'm going to start making serious movies." That's why there's a weird problem with Get Out for me. Get Out, I enjoy Get Out. I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was very well made. I thought it was disturbing, but I also thought it was humorous. Now, this is the weird thing about Get Out for me.
Okay.
As a horror movie, it's great.
Yes.
As a comedy, it's great. But as a horror comedy, it's terrible.
I don't consider it a horror comedy.
There are some things in there that are kind of funny if you look at them in a way that isn't horror.
Okay, I can make an addendum to that.
Okay.
As someone who saw this movie for the second go round last night, I will admit those scenes that you're talking about, they are funny. They do make you laugh, but you're not like, ha ha ha, funny. You get a good chuckle. When you get the big payoff and then you see it the second time around, those scenes take on a whole new meaning.
I think this may be controversial, but I think the best part of the movie is Lil Rel Howery as his friend Rod with the TS motherfucking A. How many times have I tell you?
We get shit done.
I mean, that to me, that was the last of humor that Jordan Peele had, and it was a very Key and Peele humor. TSA.
Yeah, with him and Lil Rel, it was the Key and Peele humor was right there, but you can understand why he didn't want Keegan-Michael Key in that part. You can understand why.
Because it would be too distracting? I mean, he was great. I love Lil Rel.
Well, it would be, because the thing is, you're seeing the movie Jordan Peele, and then you could technically you could accuse him of being, a little too professional. It's like, oh yeah, here, you're my buddy. Come take this part.
Well, how about Keegan-Michael Key calls up Jordan Peele and he says, "Yo, Jordan, heard you got this script. You got a part for me?" And after a few seconds, he comes back in that Us voice and say, "Stay away. Stay away from this movie. You'll poison it. People will think it's Key and Peele." And it's like, okay, all right, fine. Go off and be a serious artist. Fuck you. Okay,
Pretty
fuck you.
much.
How's that? That's a pig. That don't flash straight. This is okay. Now, Daniel Kaluuya. I knew about Daniel Kaluuya for a long time because he appeared in a couple of shows that I watched. He was in an episode of Doctor Who.
Okay.
And the David Tennant years, and he was in an episode of Black Mirror. He was in the second episode ever of Black Mirror, and I think it was called 15 Million Merits. And I always thought he was a great actor. He's a great British actor. He's a British actor, right?
Oh yeah, he's British. Yes.
You bring him over here, and you put him in this movie, Get Out. And in this movie, he plays a relatively successful photographer. He has a very nice, tastefully appointed townhouse/apartment kind of a thing. And he's got a white girlfriend. She's kind of cute. So she decides this is going to be Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, so we're going to take you upstate or whatever. and you go into this place where her parents are, played by Bradley Whitford, who always seems to play a part like this in everything that he's in.
And you know what?
And
Let
Catherine
him,
Keener.
because I love him in those roles, and that was one of the drawing points to me for this movie was the supporting cast.
For me, he was a breath of fresh air in The Handmaid's Tale. When he started appearing in The Handmaid's Tale at the end of the second season and into the third, he was a breath of fresh air because he wasn't like everybody else. And he's the one person you actually remember, really, mainly from the show, because he's such a different performance and a different character. He brings this this sense of unreality to everything he's doing. He's just interesting. He's always interesting as an actor. I enjoy him. I always enjoy him. And he was great in this too. It's sort of weird though, because it starts off in a way that you think, well, things are a little odd. You know, there's this creepy guy who's hanging around with the hat. And then there's this maid, and she's crying, and it's kind of weird. And these people are like liberals or something, or they're whatever. Because he has to mix his politics into this horror in some reason, and that really bugs me sometimes. But these people are supposedly liberals. They're like, oh yes, we're very accepting of black people. Yes, have dinner with us. Yes, go ahead and have sex with our daughter, please. You know, but these people have a weird agenda, and there's some really wonderful moments in this movie that have become a meme, and you're going to see these memes throughout this episode.
Okay, God.
The meme,
gotcha.
You know what the meme is. It is basically
Yes.
Daniel Kaluuya crying and motionless sitting in the chair. And I created a lovely, which you saw at the beginning of this episode, a lovely combination of Isabella Johnny spinning and twirling in the subway station while a laugh track plays in the background and Daniel Kaluuya is being forced to watch this. So imagine all three of those combined, and that's what I got around to. And then I added something else later. A couple of other things later that I threw in as memes. But it is really incredible. Chris has a smoking problem, and he really should have taken up vaping. That probably would have ended the movie right there if he had just taken up vaping.
Could have just vaped.
Yeah. But the wife, played by Catherine Keener, is a
psychotherapist.
She's a psychotherapist who uses hypnosis, apparently. I don't know quite what the purpose of that scene was, but basically the film then kind of devolves into, and this is why I was so shocked.
No, wait, no, you're saying you don't know the purpose of him getting hypnotized?
Not really, no. I don't
Hold on. So the point of it was to prep him for the surgery. Because remember, you know how when he uses the camera flash on the one guy and it brings him back?
Yeah.
And he says, get out.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy with the hat.
So it turns out what that hypnosis does is it takes all the parts of you and buries you deep down. Like she basically got him to go down into a dark place and got him to be triggered.
I guess
she hypnotized him for a reason. She needed to. It's because, when you find out what's going on at the end, what they're doing, it plays the relevance. He needed to be hypnotized.
I guess what I'm trying to say is there are easier ways to do that than sitting down for a nice hot cup of talk. You could just use some kind of a sodium pentothal. You could do something in with drugs or something. I'm not really. They have this.
But maybe it needs to be drug free. Maybe it needs to be
maybe
needs to be brought on naturally. You see, that's why I like where this movie went. Okay, that's the point we're trying. I think we're trying to get to. I like where it went.
I was quite frankly shocked that it won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay because
so was I, but I was so happy it won. I really was.
I'm glad
a horror movie finally got it, man.
I'm glad that Spike Lee was deprived because he looked so mad at the end of that Oscar ceremony. No, my issue was that this movie kind of borrows from a lot of other movies. Namely, I'm thinking of The Stepford Wives.
Or technically Invasion. You could technically say Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body, yeah. Weird shit is happening. Okay, weird shit is happening. Could have been the the alternate title for this.
So it has thematic borrowing, but not direct borrowing, because Stepford Wives was autonomous. It was robots. Stepford Wives was robots, but Jordan Peele's just taking the thematic element.
What he's doing, okay, spoilers, for everyone who hasn't seen this movie, is that you take the brain of a dying white man, I guess, and put it into the body of a virile black person. And then this idea, this is sort of where we get into us territory, is this whole kind of conspiracy thing against black people, whatever it might be. I'm not really sure. But that's where it goes. I'm fine with that. I'm just not fine with calling it original, because I feel like he kind of, it was took liberties with other sources.
A lot of themes from similar movies. Okay,
it's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner meets the Stepford Wives.
It shares, but that's the whole point. It shares the same themes.
And
I like where they went with it. I mean,
the other thing that I didn't like about Get Out was that the girlfriend was in on it. She seemed like a really nice, sweet girl who really was interested in him. And then he's going over her history, and he's finding all these other black boyfriends.
I love that, though. I love it when you find out she's in on it. I love it when you find out.
And I don't like that they kill her at the end either.
I'm fine with that.
I mean,
wow, there's a lot of things you didn't. It's just those I like you hate.
No. It's just those elements that I don't like. I don't like making her the bad. I think that she should have been like, "What are you doing, Dad? What are you doing, Mom? Let's get out of here." And then maybe she's a good person or something. But no, the only person he can trust is Rod.
I like the fact that the whole family's fucked up. I love that.
But it's not just the family; it's the community. This community is fucked up too.
Well, it's not the surrounding community. It's just people that he knows. Because remember, they have a get together once a year. Who knows where those people are from? They never say.
But they never say
where they're from. But one could assume they're either locals or they're from other parts of the world or a country, whatever. They get together once a year to do this auction.
Yes, the auction. But again, he gets it wrong on this too, because upstate New York is not what he thinks it is. Upstate New York is basically red. It's a red streak. It's absolutely Republican. It's not liberal. It's not this liberal thing. A lot of rich people from the city come up and spend a lot of their hard-earned city money living upstate. I lived upstate, so I know whereof I speak. These people, the people that are up there, are very kind of set in their ways. And I only saw, it's so funny, because I only saw like maybe one, maybe two black people in the neighborhood I lived in, and they were scared of white people. It was weird. It was interesting too. Lots of Dominicans too. Lots of Ecuadorians living up there, but they were like in the service industry, and they moved out of the way when white people were walking down the street. It was like the weirdest thing I ever saw in my life. My friend Colin came up to spend the weekend with us. He's black, and I take him to the grocery store. We go do some shopping for dinner later that night, right? And the people are following him around like he's going to steal something. And I'm like, would you mind not following my friend around? You're making me nervous. And they're like, sorry. It's like the weirdest thing. It's not what Jordan Peele thinks it is. He thinks that there's a bunch of like snobs living upstate. Oh yeah, snobs, I'm liberal. It's like cocktail party liberals. And his idea of cocktail party liberals are people who behave like they're liberal and accepting of other people, but then secretly at night under their sheets are talking about overthrowing the black race or something like that. That's how I feel about Jordan Peele.
No, that's how you feel about this movie. And let me tell you something. You see, I love horror movies. I just went into this as a horror movie. I never lived in upstate New York, so I don't know this.
I know.
For me, it's suspension of belief.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about,
I didn't want to look at it from political. Here's what I knew. Okay, I know that this being a film from a black filmmaker who comes from a long line of black humor, I obviously knew there were going to be some racial overtones. There's racialness to the movie. Okay, that I knew. That's all I expected. I didn't want anything political. I thought it was great. I love the twist. I love everything about it. I love you find out because it's all plausible.
Well, if you don't want to call it comedy,
in a sense, plausible meaning, hey, maybe there is a type of surgery out there maybe they have perfected the brain transplant. We just don't know about it yet.
You can't get past the fact that they're doing this against people's wills. It seems like it's like a form of rape.
It does, but then you see the only plot hole that I think I can come up with is aren't these people eventually going to get caught?
Yes,
because
yes.
because the people they're taking are all missing.
But this, okay, that may
You see,
lead.
there's your ironic part, because he finds the one guy. It's like, oh, you see that's him. You know, that's Trey.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Trey. You know, and then they go, all right, you know, that you figure out that, oh, okay, someone finally figured out there's a missing guy.
But this may be part of Peele's grand scheme that also involves us, is that black people can easily disappear and be forgotten, or so white people think. You know.
Now you see that's a good way to think about it. At least white people think, oh yeah, if they disappear, then who's going to care?
So I was going to ask you. If you can't look at this as a comedy, you can at least look at it as a satire, right? Horror.
Oh
satire.
yeah, I mean, no, like, yeah, because it's got some severe satirical elements to it. It's got a lot. I mean, that's what I was going at. The second time the first time I laughed, you know, the comedy. Now the second time I watch it, it's like, oh, it's more satirical. Because then you already know what the payoff's going to be, and then you're watching everyone else's how they act,
right,
and everything like that, and it's very satirical.
Yeah, and
like there's just the one scene where the white lady's like feeling his muscles and everything like that.
Yeah,
I'm just like, you know, the first time I looked at that, I didn't know what to think.
Yes.
Now knowing what the ending is, you look at it, it's like, that's kind of fucked up, but yet it's funny.
Yeah, it is funny, but it also is ironic too, but it has that satire about it. And it's a good story, but it's been told before. He's just kind of putting a different polish on it.
He put his own little he took a good story and he put his own unique spin on it.
Photography is really good. The photography is really good. The performances are really good too, which is so disappointing in light of, because one of my main problems with Us was the performances. I really didn't like the performances in the movie. I thought they were just well, we'll get into that in a second. But otherwise,
to sum it up, people, it's a good movie. Well, I like it a lot more than you do.
You like it a lot more than me, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Low budget, made on a very low budget for Blumhouse, of course, $4.5 million, but it made an enormous amount of money. Made much more, actually, more money than us.
What you find ironic, what you find the most ironic thing ever. Only one major film critic in this country hated that movie. One.
That's interesting, because Us got really great, grand, bold, across-the-board reviews from critics, you know?
Oh, no, but you see, the critic who liked it, I don't trust. His name's Armond White. If you know who he is.
I don't know. Is he a YouTuber?
No, he is a critic who works for like a New York. He did work for a New York publication, but he got fired. They say he's a very contrarian dude. He was the only critic in America who hated Toy Story 3. Okay. All right, let's leave it at that. Okay, like that shows you. Like he tried saying War of the Worlds was like Steven Spielberg, the best movie of 2005 at one point in time.
Really?
And this is a.
I mean, it's a fun movie. I wouldn't call it the best.
He called the director Steve McQueen, not the movie star, but the director Steve McQueen. You know, 12 Years a Slave. Yeah. You know that movie. Called him a fucking hack.
Yeah. Well, I
booed him at a film festival. Just straight up booed him and called him a freaking like a blood merchant. Called him like a sellout because of 12 Years a Slave. And I'd just be like, dude, what kind of crack are you smoking?
Well, I mean, he might get crucified on the cover of People magazine, but the thing is, I had problems with 12 Years a Slave too.
I had some issues, but not the ones that he had worse issues. He had worse. But dude, the guy is he has so many contrarian views. It's terrible. Like movies that most people would consider to be garbage, he fucking loves.
That's weird. I mean, isn't there anything this guy likes that most people like? He loves
Michael Bay. He's got a chub for Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Armageddon Michael Bay? Transformers
Armageddon Michael Bay? Yeah, he's got a chub for Michael Bay. So, like, dude, Armond White is the one guy. It's like most of his reviews get stricken from Rotten Tomatoes pretty much because
I wonder why
they don't want him on there anymore. Like,
why
they don't want
but that's a problem because we're talking about movies too, and I'm gonna have a few unpopular things to say about Us. And
you and me both.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of movies I don't like, and the thing he has every right to be heard just as much as anybody else, and
he does, no matter how
unpopular. I mean, an unpopular opinion is kind of a dangerous idea. Where people were tearing Cuties apart, I defended the movie because I actually watched it, and I thought it was a pretty good movie, and I don't think it was about what people think what it was about. And I wrote a review to that effect, and oh my God, you should have seen.
You got crucified. I know you told me you got crucified.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean,
you liked something people were supposed to hate, and I get that, and that's how Armond White is, because like literally he got crucified for Toy Story 3, and he got double crucified for Get Out, and especially he got extra crucified for Get Out because the filmmaker was black.
Yeah,
and basically he said, oh, so and everyone looked at him and said, oh, you don't support your own kind, huh? They took it to that level. They took it to a racial level.
It's interesting. I mean,
a black filmmaker.
I think Get Out could pass the paper bag test, if you will. There's a paper bag test about black and white. I think this movie would pass the paper bag test, and what I mean when I say that is, if a white man wrote and directed this movie, it would still get the kind of accolades it got.
Yes, it would.
Us is a different story.
Ugh.
Us is ass kissing on such an enormous level. You would be, when I tell you, when we get to it. But finally, let's just wrap up Get Out. Get Out, I enjoyed. I thought it was great. It's a good movie. Us doesn't hold a candle to it. It really doesn't.
No, Us is a steaming pile of dog shit compared to Get Out.
Get Out is better than Keanu, but Keanu is better than Us.
Yes.
And it does have a kind of, I guess, happy ending where everybody dies except for Daniel Kaluuya and his friend, and they get the hell out of there. And that's the only saving grace of the two characters.
No, because honestly, you see, that scene is what set the bar. Okay, because here's what I thought, and this is how we'll end it. Okay, when Daniel Kaluuya gets out of the house, you think he's home free, right? You think he became Weird Al Shank-a-bitch. He stabbed her, right? And he gets up, and all of a sudden you see the lights. You think, God damn it, he came this far only to be picked off by that motherfucking cop from the beginning who pulled him over.
Yeah.
It's the first thing you think. But then he subverts you, and you find out it's fucking Lil Rel driving the airport cop car.
Yeah.
And then you just have a big smile on your face, and then you go, bless you, Jordan Peele, for not taking that bullshit ending.
Yeah.
For not making him go out like a bitch. For actually letting him, like the title of the movie says, for lack of a better word, get out.
Okay. So we move on to Jesus Christ. We move on to Us. Now, seriously, I thought you were going to love this movie because everybody loves this movie except me. Even Regan didn't think it was as terrible as I thought it was. I was like, okay, this movie.
How about, dude, here's my lead off, okay? The Village is better than this movie. There, I said it.
I'd say
the water.
I will
is
say
better than this movie.
I will say that this movie is better than Ad Astra. I'll give you that. It's better than Ad Astra. Like much better, because there's an actual story and things are happening, and at least you know what the hell's going on. Everything else, no. Okay, I want to start. I look at CinemaSins. Do you ever look at CinemaSins?
Oh, are we talking about that error at the beginning of the movie with the chud tape?
Well, no, not with the chud tape. No.
Well, that's right. No, that's where I start. But because I don't like a zoom in on a 1993 Star Maker tape.
Okay, but no, it's well, I'm talking about what CinemaSins thought of this movie.
Okay.
Every other comment that they made was sucking Jordan Peele's ass. They were like, let's just get this out of the way first. This is a brilliant movie. And then they proceed to, as much as this is an awesome scene, it's all, they are so afraid. Apparently Jordan Peele has power, and I don't know what this power is. It's so weird. You go against Jordan Peele, you wind up sleeping with the fishes. You know what I'm saying? I want to know if Jordan Peele wrote this movie after Get Out, or if he is going to pretend that he had been writing this movie for years. Because this really feels like a decent director's second movie. And a decent director's second movie usually cannot live up to the expectations of how great the first movie was. I want to know. He has never gone on record saying where he wrote Us, when he wrote Us. I feel like he dashed it off over a weekend. Is very little.
And I thank you. I'm in the same. I feel the exact same. It was so rushed.
Whatever he did to write Get Out, he spent way more time on than he spent writing this movie.
He even said in his Oscar speech that there were so many times where he wanted to quit writing it. But then he picked the pen back. Not us, but Get Out.
Yeah, we'll get out.
There were so many times he wanted to stop writing it, but then he picked up his pen again. He was like, I'm going to keep going.
That's okay. That's the thing. Peele believes his hype. They talked about him like he was. They compared him to Hitchcock. For fuck's sake. And when you are reading that shit about you are going to think that your shit does not stink. The story makes no sense.
No.
I wrote some notes up about this because it was just irritating me. I couldn't relate to the characters either. I couldn't relate to the character. That's another thing. I can relate to Daniel Kaluuya. I can relate because I have had the dinner, the uncomfortable dinner with the girlfriend's family. Just opposite, like photo negative. I had a black girlfriend. She had a black family. I had dinner with them. I felt like Daniel Kaluuya. I could relate to him. I can't relate to any of these characters in Us. Okay?
No. Maybe the dad, because he's just like your typical dad who's just trying to be a good dad. Maybe that's the only guy you could relate to. The dad, okay, that's the thing about the dad for me was he suffers from the same problem that every dad in every movie and TV show suffers from these days. He's a fucking moron. Apparently the wife is the smart one and the brave one too, and the smart brave one. So she combines, so she's like really smart and also brave. And she's also frightened and everything. But okay, the over-the-top performances made me crazy. I could not stand how everyone was so over-the-top. Not just the family, but their white friends. Played by Elisabeth Moss from Handmaid's Tale and Tim Heidecker, who is from Tim and Eric's awesome show. Great job. And I was happy to see his name in the credits. He actually did
like, what the fuck is he doing in this movie? Tim Heidecker is in this? And
That's what I remembered. But then you got to get it. It's Jordan Peele. I
remembered that they were friends because they both were doing comedy together on Comedy Central.
Tim Heidecker was fine. I mean, there was okay.
He's fine, but do you ever see him being married to Elisabeth Moss? There's like,
hell no.
It's such a weird thing to see.
But then I look at Elisabeth Moss. I can't imagine her having 2 gymnast kids either. Okay.
Flip over that balcony there. Yeah, these kids.
Just say, I don't see Elisabeth Moss having 2 gymnast kids, twins at that.
And it's so weird. There's this like rivalry between these two families. I mean, these two families know each other, I guess, because they're both well-to-do. But for some reason, I don't know, Tim and Elizabeth there seem to be a little more, just slightly more well-off.
Yeah, and he's basically trying to get up to that level. He wants to be. It's like I'm there, but I'm not.
So they're not really friends.
I got the summer home, but I don't have the fancy ass boat, or I don't make as much money as dude here.
Yeah, and they're not really friends.
My kids are weird. Their kids are in gym. Their kids are gymnasts and shit.
They just sort of, and they're goth too. It's weird, goth gymnasts. They are competitors rather than friends. It's like one-upmanship. Well, I got this, and this is the new model. Well, I'm gonna have to get that. It's kind of thing. And it's a weird idea to be playing around with in this kind of whatever the subtext of this movie is supposed to be. And I wrote here, the movie tries to be more important than it is, and it's concerned with social political statements. And it's supposed to be a horror film, and this was Jordan Peele's effort to say, well, you all thought Get Out was a horror movie and it was a comedy, or it was a horror comedy. This is my horror film, and this is what he's trying to do. The movie wasn't scary. It didn't scare me.
There were some scenes that made me uneasy.
It reminded me of The Strangers. Do you remember The Strangers?
Fuck that movie too, man.
But The Strangers to me was a lot scarier than this, and it was the same kind of idea. Where you have these people dressed up in weird outfits, and they're standing out there, and they're backlit, and they're in shadow, and they're on your driveway, and they're looking through the windows, and it's a weird thing. And again, I feel this is just Jordan Peele doing it again. He's just sort of creating a variation. He's just like doing, this is my version of this,
He just wanted to go the full M. Night Shyamalan on this movie, man. I'm telling you. But only difference is Shyamalan, I don't think disappointed this fucking bad.
Yeah. Even Shyamalan at his worst, which I'm going to say is probably The Happening.
Yeah, is better than this.
Is a little more intense. It's a little more intense. I felt like the intensity was only in that crazy voice she uses when she talks like this. And also, too much talk. There's too much trying to explain.
Let's just put it this way. The twist in this movie, and then the double twist, I was lost on both.
It's okay. Apparently,
it makes no fucking sense.
That's where the chud comes in, because you see the chud there, and the chud is obviously a wink and a nod
Well, no, all the videotapes on the mantle are a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
Every videotape on there is like a clue to something that's going on.
It's,
and then even at the very beginning with that text, like there are many underground tunnels, some that have not been undiscovered.
I mean, who gives a rat's ass? Don't explain it. That's the thing. Don't explain it. I said this to my wife. I said, don't explain it. If you don't explain it, it might be better.
But then even if they hadn't explained it, the simple fact is that underground, you have clones.
Yeah, underground, you have an entire world that is like a manufactured version of our real world, and then these people will never meet, and then there's a twist at the end. Okay, if it were David Lynch making this movie, he would not have explained a thing.
And if David Lynch's name was on this, I'm sorry to say it, I probably would have liked it a lot more.
This is okay. So for me, the movie was not scary. Everything. Okay, it takes too long to set up, and it does nothing. Everything is surface. It tries to be deep.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
It tries. And then, dude, the whole hands across America
What the
angle.
fuck was the hands across America? What the fuck was that? What the fuck?
Seriously, what the fuck?
I mean, I understand that they try to create some kind of because there's a Hands Across America t-shirt in there, and it looks a lot like the paper dolls that were cut out that wwere red. And you're thinking, okay, he's trying to say something about Hands Across America. And the thing is, okay, my mother joined the Hands Across America, and she got a t-shirt, and she formed part of that Human Hands Across America thing. and the t-shirt did not look anything like that t-shirt. I don't think they could find a real t-shirt. The t-shirt that she got was not that t-shirt.
From what I read up on, it was the last happy moment in her life. And it was the last thing that she remembered that she wanted to do. And that was her whole entire thing. Basically, her whole catharsis, her whole reason for escaping was to do Hands Across America. How fucking stupid is that?
The whole thing. I mean, like, and then they're being menaced by this family of the underground dwellers that all seem to be exact clones of her family. Which is weird because you would think,
and then the whole rabbit, dude. What the fuck's up with the goddamn rabbits?
Yes, the rabbits. I forgot about. Tell me about the rabbits again, George.
Why are they there?
It's supposed to be. What I gather the meaning is that according to Jordan Peele, this is a movie about black people who have forgotten that they're black. His idea is that a successful black person is somebody who has supplanted or been transplanted from another world where they are not supposed to be. I see the underground as being, Africa, if you will. I think he's trying to be deep here, and I don't like the deepness. Just scare me. That's all you have to do.
I will say this. Jordan Peele has a talent for finding good African-American actors who can cover up their European accents. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Lupita Nyong'o, without a doubt, I was thoroughly impressed by her Upwards performance. Like, let's say Stranger Things. Like, let's say These Are the Upside Down, the other side.
She kind of bugged me in this movie.
As her above ground character, I thought her character was convincing. I mean, she's got the bug eyes.
She's got the bug eyes. I mean, she's got the
bug eyes.
She's the black Isabella Johnny.
Her black accent was very convincing.
I guess if you want to do it, but I think.
And by the way, the only part that made me laugh fucking hysterically, Olivia, call the police, playing "Fuck the Police" by N.W.A.
Yeah, I guess that was funny.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you that. That was funny.
Laughing at that. That was one of the funniest things I'd seen in a while.
Well, most of it I just couldn't stomach because you've got the other version of Lupita telling her story about the handsome prince and all that, and I'm just like, you're giving away too much. You're telling us too much. You're trying to explain this, and it's kind of condescending when you try to explain on that level what you're meaning to do. She should have been telling the story of Jordan Peele. Once upon a time, there was a black comedian, and he was famous for doing goofy humor, and he made a movie called Keanu, and then he ditched his partner and started making serious horror movies. And that would scare me more than the story of underground people. Jordan Peele, he's a very talented guy, but he's a little conceited because he will actually.
Dude, it just all went to his head. This movie all went to his head.
He said he would never cast white people in movies, and it's like that's not something you want to say. because you can't take your words back. The internet never
Or
forgets.
I guess what he's trying to say is he won't cast a white lead. You got to rephrase that.
I guess he won't cast a white lead, but what if he's happened to be writing a character that's white or something like that? If it matters to him, if it's that important to him.
I guess, you know what I guess he wants to be? Okay, he wants to be the next Alfred Hitchcock / Spike Lee.
I don't know. I think, you know what I think? I don't think Jordan Peele's going to make any more horror films. I think he's going to move on to something else. Maybe he'll do.
Well, he's already doing the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he's doing the Twilight thing again. The Twilight Zone. I don't even want to get into that. But what I would want to say, I think that he'll probably try something in the vein of humor. He'll go back to humor.
He needs to do another fucking comedy, man.
He'll try to maybe do something a little more introspective or whatever. Maybe science fiction. Maybe he'll try that. Maybe he'll try romance. Maybe
I'm fine with that.
Maybe he'll try drama.
I just don't get how every critic how basically 9 out of 10 critics agreed that this was a good movie.
Even bad reviews for this movie had something more than a few good things to say. There's a lot of things I liked about this movie. I want to get that out of the way first. And
what did you like? What did you like?
Well, I mean, the only thing
I thought, okay, you were paraphrasing. I actually thought you were saying that there were some things you actually liked.
There were two things I liked about Us.
Okay.
One was I liked the music. I thought the score was really good. It was a really good, interesting score. And I liked the photography. I thought the photography was really good. I don't think it was as good as Get Out, but it was good.
I'll give you from a production standpoint, it was good. It was a very well made film. I'll give it that.
But I thought that it could have lost about 20 minutes. It could have lost a ton of dialogue. All of that exposition was not necessary. Keep people in the dark, and then they'll constantly be asking questions.
Yeah, they really did do too much extra. That whole closet scene, you'd think that was supposed to be like they alluded to that closet scene way too much. That was going to happen. Take him upstairs and show him one of your tricks.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was
also,
just like,
can I ask?
No, the flare gun scene. Now that was another scene I liked because now this is okay. I
thought it was a little too Cape Fear Dead Calm for my taste.
Well, no. Here's what happened. I was so fucking high. I don't know what compelled me to think about it, but I remember when he's talking to his friend before the evil S's invade, he goes, "Oh, what's the one thing you got to get in a boat? A flare gun." For some reason I remembered that line.
See, that's screenwriting 101. You introduce an idea and then you watch it executed in the next act, you know.
And then exactly. And then he goes down to the boat. I'm like, "Oh, he's going to use that motherfucking flare gun. Hell yeah. Glad I caught that." And of course, yes, you see the flare gun, but where he turned it on itself was making the flare gun be a dud.
Yeah.
That was that right there was unexpected.
So, it's like you introduce a convention that we've seen a million times, and then what Peele does, his secret sauce, if you will, is to do a total reversal on that. So that's how he's working. That's how he's thinking, because he doesn't want people. I have a feeling he's sitting at his keyboard and he's like, all right, how do I shock people? Okay, I'll do this instead. So he's consciously thinking about the audience as he's writing. And he's also thinking about his own image too. He's thinking about, oh my God, they're going to kill me or they're going to love me. You know, and it's just too much. I mean, like, the thing that I alluded to earlier was the performances. I did not believe this family. I did not believe they were a family. They did not behave as though they were a family. Everything felt like somebody was painting a smile on their faces in happier moments and then painting misery and despair on their faces in other moments. I felt like they were being controlled. Their performances were way too controlled, and I felt like there was no room for improvisation. You know, I felt like it was all like, I think Peele is one of these writers who's like, do not change one word of my script. You know, I think he was like, this has to be completely
That's probably why he brought on Jason Blum, because now this movie was not a Blumhouse movie. This movie was set up at Universal, but Jordan Peele wanted Jason Blum to help produce it.
Yeah, instead he had his own production company, Monkey Paw, I think it was.
Yeah,
right.
Monkey Paw.
So he brought in Jason Blum to produce.
Yep.
And he has more power, I guess, than Jason Blum.
I guess by bringing in people, he can make the movie he wanted to make. So that's why Jordan Peele got to use his own production company and brought on his own producer, and Universal was like, okay, here's $20 million, go nuts.
But there was no change in the box office receipts, though. It made a little less than Get Out, in the same ballpark, but just a little less of the cost.
I mean, the movie was profitable. Let's put it that way. It made its money back.
It was profitable. He's going to get the problem. I think Peele is going to get he's going to get $100 million movie next time, and that could be the end of his career.
Yeah. That's
because he got $20 million for this one, which is how many times more? 4 times the budget of Get Out. And Get Out was a better movie. You know, it just plain was. And I'm not going to mince words, and I'm not going to point to. I felt like this was a complete waste of my time watching this movie. I was so restless watching it.
It was a waste because this movie I liked the buildup. I like where it went. Granted, yes, I agree with the whole too much explaining this, but I like the buildup. But then when the payoff hits, like when you finally find it out, you're like, and the point of this is why?
Yeah.
I mean, I get their point. I mean, their point is valid, I guess, but I want to know why there's an underground society of doppelgangers.
Yeah.
And how far does it extend?
Yes.
Is this a government-run thing?
So, well, in your view,
because most people they go, well, I like it because it's ambiguous. I'll be like, I don't like it because it's ambiguous. I don't. For me, it needs a fucking reason to be there.
I feel I didn't need any of that. What I needed was I needed for this movie to be smaller than what it was. It should have been more internalized. It should have been more of a personal conflict between the two families. That's what it should have been for me. It should have been them fighting themselves. It would have had more meaning for me if they had done.
But that was the whole point of it, though, was because like your doppelganger only ever killed you.
But then it turns into this worldwide thing or nationwide thing of doppelgangers suddenly springing, and that's just cheesy. That's so cheesy to make it this big battle across the country rather than this personal nightmare for a family.
And then it's for hands across fucking America. And again, it's just this is the payoff. And then what's the big final twist though? Mom was actually from the underworld after all.
Yes, and
that's your big twist, and it's just like, okay,
it's just
I'm supposed to be shocked by this.
It was just sort of an enormous who gives a fuck. I just didn't care. I didn't care at that point.
At the end of the day, yeah, you're right. At the very end, I was like, I do not fucking care enough to give 2 shits and a fuck about this.
Yeah, and we know nothing about these people. We go on. They're strangers to us at the beginning, and they're strangers to us at the end. There is nothing that I can put in my pocket and say, I know. I definitely know now.
As much as sad as I say this, the only character I gave a shit about was the dad. And that's putting it lightly. Like, I didn't give a shit about the kids. I didn't give a shit about the mom. The dad, I actually liked him because I could relate to him a little bit. So, again, common ground that you found with Daniel Kaluuya and freaking Get Out, I found a little common ground with the dad. Having brat kids glued to their phones and this and that. Okay, so I relate a little bit. I felt for him. But the mom, the kids, nope. I didn't give a shit.
In my idealistic...
I didn't care about the White family either. I didn't give a shit about them either.
I wouldn't, the thing about me, in my idealized version of myself, and putting myself in this movie, I would have fought. I would have fought them. There was nothing inherently scary about them, just her creepy voice, and it didn't seem like they had superpowers. I would have fought them. That's what I would have done. I would not have run. Everyone's always running.
Yeah, but that's a horror trope. Everyone runs.
You run when you're vulnerable, Like Liv Tyler running from the strangers in The Strangers.
Well, but then here's
the thing,
vulnerable. Though. Okay, but wait. This is where I can pick it apart. Mom did fight. Remember, she fought her other self.
Eventually, yes.
And what happened? Her other self was actually overpowered her.
They sort of, I don't know. They sort of did this thing where they were like it was almost like like mirror boxing. They were kind of like duplicating each other's moves. It was that was interesting. I'll give you that. That was interesting.
Yeah, I mean.
But otherwise, this movie was a complete waste of time. I don't understand all the love for it. It makes me crazy. It makes me crazy. I wonder what's his name? Who was that guy? White, that reviewer you mentioned?
Armond White. I have
Armond
no idea.
White. I wonder what he thought of it.
Yeah, now I want to look that up to see what he thought. I actually kind of do, but we'll do that after.
Well, let me check very quickly.
If it was even a published review.
Horror comedy for the woke generation scares itself. Jordan Peele depicts Black American identity as a freak show. Okay.
Yeah. This is why I don't read him, because he's I don't know, man. I don't even know. This is such a long.
The actors who portray the besieged Black family in Us were obviously cast for their dark skin tone.
From here on, I will no longer refer to Jordan Peele as a race hustler. Us proves he is something simpler, a charlatan.
Oh, how about that?
Okay, so I guess maybe you, me, and Armond White got something in common. We all hated this movie. I guess he was the more smart one for it.
Let's have him on the show.
Nah, me and him will box. I don't want to.
All right. Well, on that note, oh God, I'm glad we're done with this episode.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad you took 2 hours of my life and I want them back.
Yes, I mean, when it comes to doppelgangers, I think Possession did a better job. Sorry.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
So we'll take a little break for the holidays, but and I know people are going to hear this after the holidays, but I just want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, John.
All right, same to you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
I got the turkey thawing, and I'm going to start working on it on Wednesday night.
Yep, my mother-in-law's doing the same thing on Wednesday, getting the turkey ready to go. So,
all right, but by all accounts, people, avoid this turkey. Us.
Yes.
How's that for a nice way to end the episode? Huh?
That's a good way to end it. A cornucopia of hilarity.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
We enjoy your films, particularly the early funny ones. You want to do mankind a real service? Tell funnier jokes.